Good evening. This is Dr. Archana. Welcome you again for the last session, which is on logical reasoning. As we know that this is the sixth session, and the second session is on Indian logic. As yesterday, I introduced Indian logic, but before that, I introduce you those who are actually new for this subject. As I said, UGC has added last year this Indian logic in your syllabus, and it is difficult to understand non-philosophy students this particular unit. So yesterday I gave a brief idea about what is Indian philosophy, because without understanding Indian philosophy or you cannot understand Indian logic. And I said that there are very important branches of Indian philosophy, and epistemology is one of the branch of philosophy. So we saw that metaphysics and epistemology, the question we start from the what is reality, and the immediate question comes that how to know the reality. So one side we have a metaphysical question, and immediately we have other question occurs, that epistemological question, that how to know the reality. Is there any pramana? Is there any means to know the reality? So we have discussed this little bit introduction of Indian logic yesterday, and we saw that this epistemology is nothing but the theory of knowledge. And we start with the etymological meaning. We saw episteme is means the knowledge or logos or reasoning, and I told you that there are basically, when we are discussing Indian logic, so Indian tradition is giving the process of inference or knowledge. So how human beings perceive the object, or how human being gain the knowledge. So there are many means of knowledge in the tradition talk about, and especially I say that there are 6 means of true knowledge. As I said, knowledge is prama or aprama. Knowledge is always true or false, and we to get the true knowledge, you have means your process. If your process is correct, you will definitely get the true knowledge. If in that process, if something happens, some error occurs, then you will have a false knowledge. Okay, so for example, like knowledge, as those who are seeing me just now, because it's just the beginning of the session, and few people are attending, and later on the other people will join certainly. So as I said, I always talk about the current situation. So those who are perceiving me, they are seeing me directly, right? If there is certain error, technical errors, then might be you can't hear me correct, or you can't see me correctly. So if some object or some distraction comes between you and me, then there is a possibility of false knowledge. So you can say that I think Archana madam is taking the session, or you can say that no, I'm sure she is taking lecture. So because I'm perceiving her. So there is a process, and this process is very quick. We never think about it. We always say that कि हाँ मुझे ये मालूम है, मैं ये जानता हूँ, ये मैं जानती हूँ, मुझे knowledge है इस बात का. But this knowledge process is so quickly, you never thought about how it goes. It's actually a psychological process, and this process, Indian tradition talk about, there are 3 things which is very much important. First and foremost, yes, that individual, that pramatru is there, object is there. So pramatru use their sense organs, that our sense organ contact with the object, then our sense organ contact with the mind, because internal instrument or internal means is there, and then we have that object then sense organ, then connection with the mind, and Indian tradition is talking about the soul, that there is a permanent entity or substance here. So it goes to that soul or consciousness, and you get that knowledge. That is what we say, yes, this is Dr. Archana. So it is very quick. If these three connection, if you have any difficulty in this three connection, then you will not have a true knowledge, right? So the process is there, and I told you yesterday there are 4 factors involved in our knowledge process. The 4 factors are, I told, Prama, that knowledge is itself, Prama, Pramatru, Prameya, Pramana. Okay, so Prama, which the knowledge you are talking about. So now if you are seeing knowledge is there, so immediate question will occur there, ki who is getting that knowledge. So some Pramatru is there, knower is there. Okay, as I said, I am perceiving, so that I is a knower. Okay, and then immediate question occurs that what you are getting. So some object is there of knowledge, and then if you are having the knowledge about that particular object, you must have used a certain means, that is we call pramanas. So in Indian tradition, as I told you yesterday, there is a process, there are 4 factors involved, and these instruments, the pramanas, are basically in our Indian tradition there are 6 pramanas discussed, and your this logical reasoning unit is talking about the means of pramanas, and all the 6 pramanas are there, and that inference, kinds of inference, and we have fallacies. So friends, I will take one by one, but inference that I will, once I finish first, inference is the second pramana, but it is very vast, so I will take last May. But before that, I will just go with the perception. I will start perception, Anuman very briefly I will tell, and then I will talk about the other 4 pramanas, and then in detail in the last session I will give you more information about Anumana, because Anumana, Pramana is nothing but the theory of inference, and Nyaya school is known as theory of inference in our Indian tradition. So in general we are talking about. Yesterday I have told that as we have altogether 6 pramanas in Indian philosophy or Indian tradition. So Pratyaksha, that is perception, Anuman, that is inference, Shabda, that is verbal testimony, Upaman, that is comparison or analogy, Arthapatti, that is implication and postulation, and Anupalabdhi, non-existent. Those who are attending yesterday, those who are missed, I am just briefing them the little bit, and now this 6 pramanas in detail I will discuss today. So I also said that there are 9 visions in classical Indian system. We have 9 system of Indian philosophy. So that nothing but the 9 vision of seeing the truth, what ultimate reality of the whole world is there. Also, whatever the query we are having, so they are trying to know about the reality. So this is what we have 9 vision in classical system, and I told you that this classical Indian tradition is divided into 3 sections: Shatadarshana, then we have a Shramana tradition, and then independent school, that is Charvaka. So all have accepted Pratyaksha as a pramana, because Pratyaksha, that is a perception, is the foundation or fundamental principle for or important pramanas for all other pramanas, because without perception you cannot infer, without perception you cannot gain another kind of knowledge. So perception is very much important and accepted by not only Indian tradition but also Western philosophy accepted Pratyaksha as a means of valid knowledge or true knowledge. So I told you, and I repeating again because that kind of question might be come in your future exam, that Charvaka accept only Pratyaksha as a means of valid knowledge. Buddhist and Vaisheshika accept 2 means of knowledge, that is perception and inference. Then Nayayika accept 4 pramanas, and I told Nayayika is known as a theory of knowledge or theory of inference in our Indian philosophy. It's called Pramana Shastra, and they have talked about the 4 kinds of pramanas in detail. So whatever definition I will give you, either it is a Pratyaksha, Anuman, Upman or Shabda, it is actually given by Nayayika and accepted by almost all Indian system of philosophy. So then I said that Purva Mimamsa and Uttar Mimamsa add one pramanas in the list, that Arthopatti and Anupalabdhi. So altogether Vedanta accepted 6 pramanas, the means of true knowledge. Now I come to the first pramana, that is Pratyaksha, perception. Okay, and whatever is required for your paper, see, this is the whole year syllabus, and we spend almost 2 hours for one particular kinds of pramana. But as this is just a workshop and this is not a classroom teaching, so I have my certain limitations. So whatever is important for your preparation or whatever is important for your knowledge, that much I will discuss with you. I am very sure yes, it will be difficult to understand Indian logic on the basis of the 2 sessions, but if you read more about Indian logic, books are available, very basic books you can see, and now it's a Google Baba is there, so you can search about Pratyaksha, Anuman, Upman and Shabda, and I will suggest you read good articles which is written by good philosophers from our India. So books are also available in Indian philosophy website, in internet. You can just search it in Google and you will get epistemology, especially Indian epistemology, for your purpose. So references are there in market. You will get one Datta and Chatterjee book of Indian philosophy, and it's very basic language he has used, a very simple language, and in a very simple language he has given the book which is very good for the beginner. So you can read that. Those who do not have a background of philosophy, or those who are just listening me in this session, and so it's a very little bit knowledge or information I am giving about Indian philosophy. But so instead of reading direct original, you first just read the secondary sources and then you go for the original. And Nyaya Sutra is the original for Indian epistemology. There are many, even Buddhist logic, we have many texts. So whatever I am giving you, it's just a brief introduction of Indian logic. So Pratyaksha is the first pramana, which is the very important pramana accepted by Indian as well as Western philosophers. So Pratyaksha is perception. So before I go for Pratyaksha, let me just tell you that knowledge is always divided into 2 parts, that knowledge is either direct or indirect knowledge. So Pratyaksha is the only knowledge which is direct. Okay, so direct means what? There is no mediator. Immediate and mediate, this word we use in Western logic. So immediate and mediate, direct and indirect knowledge. So in direct knowledge, you have a direct perception that object is there and the Pramatru knower is there, and there is no medium before you and me. There is no media before you and me. So you can directly pursue me, you can directly listen me, you can directly see me. So this is the direct perception. Okay, it is called Sakshat Jnana. Okay, so or Yathartha, it's a valid knowledge. So valid knowledge is always direct or indirect, and Pratyaksha is the only pramana which you are getting directly. So it's a direct pramana, and the other rest are indirect pramanas, because Pratyaksha, other pramanas is based on Pratyaksha. Okay, Pratyaksha is not based on any other. Okay, so perception. I give you a very simple general definition of Pratyaksha pramana, and Pratyaksha pramana, a simple definition is Indriyartha, Sannikarsha, Janyam, Jnanam, Pratyaksha. Indriyartha means sense organ. Okay, Sannikarsha means contact. Okay, so our Indriya contact with what? Object. Okay, Indriya Artha, sense organ, Artha is the object. Sannikarsha is a contact. So Indriya Artha Sannikarsha Janyam, Janyam means produce, okay, that is Pratyaksha. So Indriyartha Sannikarsha Janyam Jnanam Pratyaksha. So Indriyartha Sannikarsha, your Indriyas, we have 5 sense organ plus mind is the internal organ. Okay, so your Indriyas are directly have a contact with the object, and it is direct knowledge you are getting in a first instance. Now this definition is accepted by all Indian philosophers. All the Indian system have accepted this definition of Pratyaksha. Now this Pratyaksha is, if you see the word Pratyaksha, okay, so Pratyaksha, Prati means before, okay, near to what? Your object, your sense organ, okay, so object is near to your sense organ. So that is what Pratyaksha. Pratyaksha, Pratyaksha. I am repeating again because this kind of question might be come to your exam. So Pratyaksham, Pratyaksham. So before your sense organ to near your sense organ is a Pratyaksha. Okay. So on the basis of this etymological meaning, you have we are getting this definition that Indriyartha Sannikarsham Janyam Jnanam Pratyaksha. I hope this is clear to all. Now, Indian tradition divided this Pratyaksha into 2 kinds, that is called Savikalpak Pratyaksha or Nirvikalpak Pratyaksha. Or in other way, Nirvikalpak and Savikalpak means first moment and the second moment. Now, what is the meaning of Nirvikalpak Pratyaksha? It is called indeterminate and Savikalpa determinate knowledge. Now, indeterminate means was Nirvikalpak, without any upadhi, okay, conditions. Conditions of what? Without any nama, rupa or anything. I just, if I am in the class and if I am teaching this topic, I am just saying just close your eyes and open it. The first moment, you don't know what the object is before you. Okay, so that first moment is Nirvikalpa. You don't know what object is there. After that moment, you are saying, oh, this is Archana madam. Okay, you are giving the upadhi of that object. That nama, rupa, ranga, that comes after moment, not the first moment. First moment you are just having the contact. And that is what Nirvikalp, without any upadhi or condition or without any nama, rupa, ranga. Okay, any qualities, any upadhi, that is Nirvikalpa. And Savikalpa Pratyaksha, Savikalpa Pratyaksha means then you talk about, give the upadhis, like just now I said, if you say, I am perceiving Archana madam. So, you are, the first moment you are perceiving the object, that's one simple quick moment, and later on you realize that, oh, this is Archana madam. Okay, so you are giving me a upadhi. Okay, this is the table. So if you are perceiving a table, so if you have a contact with the table, your sense organ contacted with the table. So first moment you are not saying this is table. Next moment you say this is table. So you are giving the upadhi. With the upadhi, your perception is savikalpa. Without upadhi, your perception is nirvikalpa. I tell you, Buddhist logic accept only nirvikalpa pratyaksha. Those who are familiar with this philosophy, yesterday also I said that the whole classical system of Indian philosophy based on the metaphysical principle, the whole philosophy which they have given, the whole philosophy of all the system is based on metaphysical and epistemological principle. So, Buddhist philosophy accept Kshanikavada, momentariness. So, if you are accepting momentariness, that the next moment is different, right? The first moment where you don't know what is that, you don't know the name or nama or rupa or anything of the object, that first moment is actually your nirvikalpa. And Buddhist logic accept only nirvikalpaka pratyaksha. And for them, savikalpak pratyaksha, that means you are giving justification for that perception. So you are giving whatever you are saying, this is Archana, this is your justification. Okay, this is your assumption that, oh yes, this object is called Archana Malik. Right? So this is not direct pratyaksha for Buddhist logic. So they accept only Nirvikalpak pratyaksha. But Nyaya, especially in other Indian systems, accept Nirvikalpak as well as Savikalpak pratyaksha because they are accepting many realities. The whole foundation is not based on Shanikavada. Only Buddhism accept Shanikavada, and that's why they are accepting only Nirvikalpak pratyaksha. First moment is right, because the next moment the first moment is already gone, right? So that's why they accept only Nirvikalpak. Now later on, Nyaya is also divided Savikalpak pratyaksha into two different kinds, right? That is called Laukika pratyaksha and Alaukika pratyaksha. What is the meaning of that Laukika and Alaukika? Laukik means ordinary perception, and Alaukik means extraordinary perception. Now this Laukika pratyaksha, ordinary perception, is of 6 kinds, because you have 5 external sense organs. Okay, you have that 5 sense organs. So everybody knows which are the sense organs. So you have eyes, you have hand, it is a touch, sparsh. These are all sense organs. Okay, and then we have mind, that is the internal sense organ. So you have five kinds of external sense perception, and one is the mind. So because of mind, you can say that I am happy or unhappy and all. So 6 kind of Laukika pratyaksha is there. Then we have Alaukika pratyaksha. Alaukika pratyaksha, Indian system of logic, is divided this Alaukik extraordinary perception. Okay, which is they are using the sense organ, but not in a ordinary way like we are using. Okay, like you are hearing me, one kind of Laukika pratyaksha, you are observing me, you are seeing me. So that contact is there. So you can touch the screen. You can't touch me, but you can touch the screen. You can smell the air. Okay, so these are all the external sense organ, but it is ordinary people's sense perception. There is extraordinary perception, and the extraordinary perception may Nyaya divided classify this extraordinary in 3 kinds. Okay, Samanya Lakshana, Jnana Lakshana, and Yogaja Lakshana. What is the meaning of that? Now in Samanya Lakshana pratyaksha, you are getting the knowledge about the general, like class. Okay, like in classroom or whoever the listener are there in before me, they are all human beings. Okay, so the universal quality in all human beings are humanhood, Manushyatva. Okay, so you are getting that Manushyatva, that Manushyahood or humanhood, this general quality in all the individuals which are there before you. Now in this moment you are not perceiving the whole individuals in all over world, but whosoever before you, whatever the number are there before you, on the basis of that you are not saying that some are animal, you are saying all are human beings, right? All are human beings, because that humanhood, that general quality, you are observing, you are perceiving, not observing, you are perceiving. So it is a Samanya Lakshana, general quality you are perceiving, right? So now it is extraordinary. Why? Because you are giving the general statement that Manushyahood is there, you are perceiving because you are not perceiving whole the class of Manushya. Okay, on the basis of some, you are getting the knowledge about all. It is like inductive, like general, particular to general. Okay, so this is Samanya Lakshana, so getting the perception of the common quality. Then Jnana Lakshana Pratyaksha, this is associated, this is associative knowledge. And in the Jnana Lakshana Pratyaksha, what happened, that you have perceived so many times ice, बर्फ को आपने कई बार हाथ लगाया, so whenever you touch you feel that it's cold. So जब आपने ice को touch किया, so ice and coldness comes together, right? So without perceiving, you can say ice is cold. Okay, similarly sandalwood, चंदन जो होता है, उसकी खुशबू वो भले ही आपके सामने ना हो, if the sandalwood is not before you, but still you can smell, you can have the fragrance of the sandalwood without having the direct contact with the object before you. Still you will say that wow, chandan ki khushboo hai, right? So object is not directly before you, but still you can have the perception of that fragrance, you can have the coldness of that eyes. So this is the Jnana Lakshana Pratyaksha. You associate the object with the quality without having that ordinary sense. Okay, and then Yogacha Pratyaksha. So those who have क्या बोलेंगे, yogic power, okay, they can have this kind of perception. So through the meditation, through all the practices which is required for yogi, they gain that power to, without opening the eyes, they can see everything because of that yogi power. Okay, so this kind of knowledge born from yoga sadhana. Okay, so some original rishis in our Indian tradition are there, that the real rishis I am talking about. So they, through the yoga sadhana, they got the power, and that is an extraordinary power. So they can close their eyes and they can see what is happening in future, or what will happen in future, or what have happened in the past. So their contact is not direct with the object. So it's extraordinary kind of perception. So Yogacha Pratyaksha is extraordinary type of Pratyaksha. So this extraordinary Pratyaksha divided into three, that is called Samanya Lakshana, where you are getting the knowledge about the class, quality. Then Jnana Lakshana, you associate the object and the quality of the object directly, and Yogacha Pratyaksha may with the yoga power or yoga sadhana, you can have the extraordinary perception. So this is Pratyaksha in our Indian philosophy. I hope this is clear to everybody, the Pratyaksha knowledge. Now, second very important pramana is Anumana, which is known as inference. We also call Anumiti Jnana. So, Anumana, after knowledge, which is based on Pratyaksha. So in this Anumana is nothing but the theory of inference. It's like you can compare India Western logic with this theory of inference. So because there is a long process and there is a possibility of error and all. So with these special pramanas, we have many topics which involved in your syllabus. So let me just do this pramana at the end. So before Anumana, I go for the other, and the end of the session I will talk Anumana in detail, because the whole logic syllabus is basically based on Anumana, because theory of knowledge is nothing, theory of inference is nothing but the Anumana pramana. So I will take after some time. So now another pramana is a Shabda pramana, which is known as verbal testimony. Okay, so through the verbal testimony, we also get the knowledge. Now some people say that in modern days, we say that newspapers and books, journals, they are giving us knowledge. Yes, suppose there, but we have to find out whether it is authentic or not, because we have a doubt about it. So Indian tradition will not say that the newspaper and other channel which are giving, they are giving the information, but from that you can get some information. We can't say that that is you are getting the knowledge. So what is verbal testimony in our Indian tradition? Indian tradition is saying Shabda, which is the right knowledge. It is actually a apta vakyam, authoritative statement. You are getting the knowledge from authority person. Okay, and that authority person is knowledgeable, trustworthy person. Okay, so if you accept me like this Archana, if you say that this Archana madam is authority person, so once you accept me as authority, so whatever I say without any doubt you will accept. That is the Shabda Jnana. Whatever I say you will accept. So that is without arguing. So Apta Vakyam Shabdam. This is what Apta means, a trustworthy person, okay, and Shabda is a verbal knowledge. So Shabda is defined in our Indian logic, that statement of trustworthy person, not all person. Okay, it's a trustworthy person, consists in understanding its meaning. So it is based on the words of trustworthy. I am repeating again and again because this kind of words you will get that apta vakyam shabdam. So apta means trustworthy person, vakya is a statement. Okay, so like in the beginning yesterday I said that the origin of Indian philosophy is Vedas. Okay, so later on that's a different question. Some people accept Vedas as an authority, some deny. So those who accept Vedas, so whatever Veda is talking about, so they have a Shabdika knowledge from Vedas. It's a divine knowledge of Vedas. So whether they are accepting God or Ishvara or whatever the Siddhanta they are talking about, without having any, so if you are accepting Vedas as an authority, you are having that Shabdika knowledge, Shabda knowledge through Vedas. So in Jaina, they accept agamas are the Shabda knowledge. On the other hand, I can say that Buddhist Tripitakas are the Shabda knowledge. Okay, because it's a literature, original literature, Tripitakas, Buddhism. So without having, if you have a belief on Buddhism, you will accept as it is, because it's authority, it's a Buddha's wordings. Okay, so you will accept. So whatever you are getting from Tripitakas, that is a Shabdic knowledge, verbal testimony. Okay, so this is I think then we have a mini classification of Shabda knowledge. I think that is not important for your portion, so I will omit that part because it's a one class, one lecture for us. So there is a types of Shabda we call the Drishtartha, or Laukika. I think that is not important for you. So you have to just keep in mind, Shabda means the knowledge through authoritative person. It's a statement of authoritative, trustworthy person. Apta Vakyam Shabdam. This definition you have to keep in mind. So now, later on, one more, the fourth pramana in our Indian tradition is Upamana. Upamana, that is also known as a comparison. Okay, so comparison, that means you are comparing two things together. We also call in Western terminology, it's called analogy. Okay, so two object of the world you are comparing, you are giving the analogy. So through the analogy or comparison, you are also getting the knowledge. How it functions, let me tell you. Now, suppose, yeah. So according to Nyaya philosophy, that Pramana Shastra, Nyaya, comparison is the valid source of knowledge, and the expression that Upamana, this is the Indian terminology for comparison, it derived from the two words, that is Upamana. So Upa means similarity, sadrusha of the two words, okay, similarity or sadrusha, and Mana means a cognition, that is Jnana or knowledge. Okay, so from two similarities of from the similarities of two objects, you are getting cognition, that is you are getting the knowledge. Okay, so that is different knowledge. It is not pratiksha. Okay, because there are two things together. You are comparing, means you have earlier information about that. It is not shabda. Okay, so it is something different. And that is Indian system. This is they are saying you are comparing two things together. So it is like Sadhya, Sadhni, Samanda, Jnana. Sadhya, Sadhni, Samanda, Jnana means you have two concepts, and the relation, commonness is there, some similarity is there. Okay, with that certain similarity, you are gaining some new knowledge. How it is? Suppose. For Indian system of philosophy, this is also a source of knowledge. Now, it is like word, two sadhanas and denotation of the word, so references are there. Suppose a person does not know what is squirrel. Like yesterday I said that the small kid, okay, in childhood that is a learning process since our birth. So that is empty mind. We have no idea what is the world is. So from the childhood, our actually education start, our knowledge process start. Okay, so first टच, माँ का स्पर्श होता है प्रत्यक्ष. विद दैट स्पर्श दैट बच्चा रिकॉग्नाइज द मदर बिकॉज he or she has a direct contact with the mother. Then on the basis of that impression, wherever that kids see the person, is it infer, what is the inference, I will tell you later on. So now suppose the person doesn't know what is squirrel, okay, so he or she told by a forester that it is a small animal like a rat, okay, but it has a long furry tail and strips on its body. So it's not like it's not typical rat, it's like a rat, so it is different from rat, right? So rat is a one object. With the similarity, the other object is called squirrel, which has a long fairy tail and the strips on its body. After some period, when he or she sees such an animal before he or she in the forest, then what that impression, whatever the knowledge given by the forester and the object before he or she, they connect the similarity and they will say, yeah, that is a squirrel, right? This is what the squirrel is. Like those who don't know Archana madam, okay, so if somebody tell you Archana madam is like this, so किसी ने मुझे define किया और आपके सामने वही image अगर सामने आई, तो you will try to connect the object, the information which you have and the person before you, and you will say this is Archana madam, okay. So if that object description and the object before you, the relation is correct, then you are getting the new knowledge, and that is what upamana, that is a comparison in our Indian logic, right? So this is what the comparison, the knowledge through comparison, which is called upamana or upamiti knowledge. So there are four things involved. First, we have an authority statement, like किसी को भी आप अर्चना मैडम नहीं accept करेंगे. So authority has said the statement that word denotes to object of a certain description. So whosoever told you that description must be authority person, right? So you are accepting that person as authority. So whatever that person is saying, you are accepting without any doubt. Then second, you will observe any such object, he or she has the knowledge that it answers to the given description, okay. Then the third stage में there is a recollection of that descriptive statement received from the authority, and finally there is the resulting knowledge that this kind of object are denoted by the word in self. So this is what upamana, sadhya, sadni, sambandha, jnana, upamana, okay. So this is also a kind, not every system of philosophy accepted. Some people say it's like inference only. There are a lot of argument on Shabda and even comparison. So I told you only Nyaya Darshana talk about four types, and of course Vedanta accepted upamana, but Buddhism, Vaisheshika, Charvaka, they are not accepting the Shabda or upamana as a means of knowledge. But only Nyaya and Mimamsa, Uttar Mimamsa and Purva Mimamsa both accept this. So the next is Arthapatti, that is implication. So it is implication or assumption. So now the knowledge through your assumption. The Arthapatti, this is again the combination of two words, Artha, Apatti, okay. So the term Artha means fact, okay, and apatti means kalpana, imagination, okay, which is understood as supposition in English. So artha is a fact and kalpana, imagination, that is understood as your supposition. So etymologically speaking, arthapatti is that knowledge which resolves the conflict between two facts, presupposition which solves the problem that occurred between two facts. I give you example. So like example is very simple example in our Indian logic, it's very common example that Devadatta is a fat man by fasting in the day. See, Devadatta is a fat man by fasting in the day. In this proposition we find two facts. I repeat again, Devadatta is a fat man by fasting in the day. So now in this proposition, you have two facts. First is that Devadatta is a human being, alive, zinda hai, and he is fat. Now second is, he is not eating in a daytime. अरे बिना खाना का जिंदा कैसा है, बराबर, and he is a fat. That means if he is not eating in a daytime, that means he is eating in a night time. So this is what presupposition. Okay, so again you are getting the knowledge. Okay, so this is something different. So presupposition you have. So friends, you may have such proposition, and the question will be based on like that. You will have some statement. You have to see whether it is a perception or anumana or shabda or its upamiti or arthapatti. So arthapatti, two facts are there, and you are assuming the other thing. As Devadatta is a living human being and it is a fat, he is not eating in a daytime, that means he is eating in night time. So this is presupposition, and you are getting, it is also a source of knowledge for Indian logic. So it's called postulation or presupposition, and gain through, we have seen two things, and you are just trying to do it. Now another example I can take, that Devadatta is a very simple example, I said. Okay, let's go for the other one. Okay, simply like for example, a healthy person says that he doesn't sleep at night. So now person is healthy, is a living life, zinda hai, and it is healthy, but he is not sleeping in sleep at night. That means he sleep in daytime. जब अभी तो सबका आलम वही है कि अभी कोरोना की वजह से सारा शेड्यूल चेंज हो गया है, सब हम लोग घर में ही लॉकडाउन हो गए हैं, तो सारा हमारा शेड्यूल चेंज हो गया है. तो दिन में अगर सो गए तो रात को नींद ही नहीं आती है. तो अगर हम किसी को बोले यार रात को नींद नहीं आ रही है, तो इमीडिएटली होता है दिन में सोए थे क्या, तो फिर हम बोलेंगे हाँ मैं दिन में सो गई थी या सो गया था. तो ये इट इज़ नथिंग बट अर्थोपत्ति नॉलेज. कभी सोचा है आपने ये नॉलेज है? Indian system is giving this kind of knowledge. ठीक है? So this is arthapatti. Now the next is anupalabdhi. Anupalabdhi is another kind of knowledge that is called non-apprehension. Okay. Now it is like anupalabdhi. Now here this anupalabdhi is it's knowledge from negation or non-existence. So apprehension, that anupalabdhi is a non-apprehension which is based on non-existence. Okay, we call non-perception. Now it's a so now like the object abhava is there. According to Nyayika, Nyaya School of Indian Philosophy, they are saying as you can perceive the existence of the object. Now you can perceive Archana Malik directly. You can also perceive the non-existence of other teacher directly. Okay, that is also a knowledge. Now only one person is delivering the session, and that is called Archana Malik, right? Okay. That means if one person is delivering the lecture now on this moment, the other professors or teachers or whatever we call resource persons are non-exist in this moment. So that non-existence also you can pursue. So as a ghata bhava, that existence of the object you can pursue, ghata abhava, non-existence of object you can also pursue. So that is anupalabdhi. मतलब उस चीज का उपलब्ध न होना, anupalabdhi, the non-existence of that particular object. Now for example, there is no student in the class. Okay, now there is no student in the class because we cannot pursue the student in the class. So we can say that there is no student in the class, empty class. एम्प्टी क्लास है तो हम क्या बोलेंगे कि देयर इज नो स्टूडेंट इन द क्लास. if you have a glass of water, okay, and there is just a glass is there, there is no water, so you will say there is no water in the glass. That means there is a non-existence of the water in the glass. So you are not just perceiving the glass, you are also perceiving the non-existence of that element that is called water. Similarly, no students in the class means you are also perceiving non-existence of the student in the class. So see, we never thought about it. We always say that some students are present. Okay, so you are perceiving only some students. That means you are also perceiving the absence of other students, and that's why you are saying only some students are present. Right? So this is according to Indian logic. This is anupalabdhi. It is the apprehension, and that is non-apprehension or the knowledge of non-existence. Understood? So pratiksha, direct, anumana, after knowledge, which I will talk about just after few minutes. Okay, shabda, verbal testimony, aptavakyam shabdam. Okay, the knowledge you are getting from the trustworthy person's statement or vakya. Then you have upamana, knowledge through comparison, two things together, you are comparing two things and you are getting the knowledge. Then we have arthapatti, that the postulation or you are assuming something or presumption is there. So from that also you are getting the new knowledge. It is not similar as other knowledge. And the anupalabdhi, simply saying that as you can pursue the existence of the object, you can also pursue the non-existence of the object. Right? So as I said in the beginning, when Professor Bagh asked me about this class, and I was saying I am not comfortable with this live telecast because earlier I have not done, because of him only I started, and I am really grateful to him. So I got more confidence about this. But as a teacher, we always enjoy classroom teaching because there is a direct perception or interaction with the students. So if somebody who is presenting in this session, they know that I always have a contact with each and every student during my lecture, and I always say मैं तो सोने का वक्त ही नहीं देती हूँ क्योंकि मेरा ध्यान सबके तरफ रहता है, मेरा कांटेक्ट सबके तरफ रहता है. तो कभी कभी स्टूडेंट को डिफ़िकल्ट हो जाता है कि उनको सोने को नहीं मिलता है क्लास में, स्पेशली लॉजिक क्लास में. तो it's really difficult. So now, but still the session is, I can't say that it's a regular teaching, class teaching, but it is a teaching, but it is a absence or non-existence of regular teaching. But still you are getting the knowledge. So whether you are perceiving me, of course pratiksha is there, then you have some limited knowledge, the perception, and on the basis of that you will infer. If you accept me as an authority or other professors, so you will have the direct knowledge of that is a Shabda Jnana. You can compare Indian and Western two logics and you will get another knowledge that is called comparison. Okay, that is Upamana. And then of course Arthapatti, that presumption. If you feel that yes, like this lecture is very nice, and if madam is giving justice role, that means you are presuming that madam must have put her efforts. See, this 1 hour class, or every professor you ask, those who sincerely doing their job, you can ask every professor this one-time presentation or 1 hour presentation. Actually it's just 1 hour for you, but these are the almost 4-5 hours for us. We have to mentally prepare for it. We have to structure our class, and the structure of our presentation or the session takes 4-5 hours. If you are seriously giving your session, or if you are more serious about it, my intention, I always say that if I reach to your mind, I got satisfaction. I'm just talking and I'm not reaching to the person before me, then actually my class is not effective. So actually that is not my fault. I'm putting my effort, but the absent mind people are sitting before me, and that's a different thing. But I am trying and you are also trying. So if once I reach to your mind, then my class is successful. So we have some presumptions. We are getting the knowledge from that, and I will say that satisfaction is most important for me. So yes, once delivering the class and a good teacher always satisfied, so that is the earning of the teacher. That's a different thing. How many students are getting the benefit, that's of course it's up to students, but unfortunately you have a platform, many platforms. We had no platform when we were student. We struggle a lot for everything, that other professors are also there. With the experience of our struggle, we are trying to give the new generation this information, that online platform. It's really appreciable. I really appreciate Professor Vaga and his team, because they are giving you a lot, but unfortunately most of the students are not attending. That's actually failure from the student class, not from the teacher class, because teachers are giving you many things and they are putting their efforts, but new generation should be alert about it and they should just take the advantage. सबको नहीं मिलता है, जिसको मिलता है एटलीस्ट वो अगर चांस ले और यूटिलाइज करे समय का, तो आप बहुत आगे बढ़ेंगे, वरना फिर दूसरों को नाम देते रहेंगे कि इन्होंने बराबर नहीं पढ़ाया या क्लास में अच्छा टीचिंग नहीं हुआ. दैट इज़ ऑल एक्सक्यूजेज. हमारी तरफ से एफर्ट अगर ईमानदारी से हो तो हमें जो भी नॉलेज है, जो भी हम गेन करेंगे लाइफ में, वो ईमानदारी से और अच्छा ही होगा. दैट्स अ डिफरेंट पॉइंट. बट येस, through these pramanas you are getting new knowledge. That is what Indian logic is talking about, and that's why they are accepting 6 pramanas. I hope these 6 pramanas are clear to all. Now let me just go for the second pramana. That's also a very important pramana for Indian logic, like inference. Like Pratyaksha has accepted by all Indian system. Similarly, Anumana, inference, is accepted by most of the Indian system of philosophy. Like Charvaka completely deny inference. So once they deny the inference, there is no question about Shabda, Upamana and other pramanas, because Charvak system of philosophy accept only Pratyaksha is the source of valid knowledge. Only Pratyaksha, whatever is perceptible is real for them. Okay, so I am repeating. Why? Because this kind of question is there, who deny inference and all. Okay, see, my style is that not just talking about the topic, but see, only last year this topic is involved in your addition is there by UGC in your syllabus, but going through all the topics which is there in your syllabus, I have some sample question which I will discuss, and what you have to keep in mind, that also end of the session I will discuss with you. Just you understand, try to understand, and definitely you will not forget what is Indian logic is. And when I take the ethics lecture, I always say that understanding is very much important. For understanding, you have to be a good listener. So आज के ज़माने में सुनने को किसी के पास समय नहीं है, बट अगर सीखना है कुछ, तो यू शुड बी अ गुड लिसनर. तभी आप आगे वाले को समझ पाएंगे. पूरा सुनते नहीं है, बस अपना शुरू हो जाते हैं, तो आप ना खुद को आगे वाले के सामने रख पाते, ना आगे वाले को आप समझ पाते. सो यू हैव टू बी अ गुड लिसनर. You should understand. Okay, once you understand, definitely you read more information or more books you refer, so that concept will be more clear in your mind. And I tell you, without touching any book during your exam, you will definitely, if it is there, the mind store अगर आपका perfect है, यहाँ पे concept clear है, no need to read any notes. I literally hate that style of functioning of students, those who ask about notes. So notes means what यार? It's just जो प्रेजेंट है, आधा लोग प्रेजेंट होता है, उसमें कुछ तो भी नोट करता है, उसके आधार पे क्या आप फ्यूचर का इतना बड़ा एग्जाम दे पाओगे. तो फर्स्ट यू अंडरस्टैंड द कंसेप्ट, रीड मोर बुक्स. Okay, if it is fit in your mind, then no need to touch any book or read book. Just remind whatever you have, and you can appear this exam. So understanding is very much important. For understanding, listening is very much important. So you should be a good listener, understand, and then perform. Your act will be definitely fruitful. So let's go for Hanuman. Hanuman. See, this is completely technical paper, and it's like logic. I really enjoy this session, but Indian logic after a long time I'm taking. My one of the faculty is there, she has done her PhD in this, so she takes my expertise. Of course, I have a expertise in both, but I take more Western logic class. So after a long time I'm taking this session, but still I revisit Indian logic, and since 4 days I'm reading and preparing for this session. Now, Anuman, inference. Anuman is after knowledge. Okay, so basically it is after knowledge means what? As I said, pratyaksha perception, that is the first. Okay, so once you have a perception, after that only you can infer for object. Like those who are perceiving me on the screen first time, those might be some people have interacted me directly in university or in my class, NetSet workshop or any other class. So they have perceived me directly. Some people are perceiving me partially on the screen, because the whole body of this object is not before you, only half body of the object is here. Fine. So you can't say that, you can't infer that those who are perceiving me on the screen, you can't say that whether I am a tall or a short. बराबर बराबर है ना? How can you say that I am a tall or a short? हाँ, of course thin नहीं है ये तो मालूम है, because मैडम थोड़ी फैट है, ये आप परस्यू कर सकते हैं. But आप tall and short only half image से you cannot pursue. So you have to pursue the whole object first moment में, and on the basis of that impression which is there in your mind, the information which is there in your mind, then the next moment में, if same object comes before you, what again the perception of the other object, you will connect that which is there in here, concept of Archana, you will say on the basis of the present and the past instances, you will say this is Archana madam. This is not the pratyaksha. Okay, this is actually based on two events. First event is which is already in the past, and the second event is the present. You are connecting past and present. This is cause and effect relation we call. So first cause and the second cause and the effect is there, and that is inference. The anumana after knowledge. After you pursue me, next moment may whenever you see or observe me, you will say this is Archana madam. So in the past, so many times you have pursued so many things which is stored in your mind, and with this I told you that object, senses and mind, these are the three connections are there in the process of knowledge. Okay, it's a psychology of our knowledge. We never thought about कि अरे knowledge कैसे होता है, हमने कभी सोचते नहीं है, हम खाली बोलते हैं मैंने देखा, मैंने सुना, मैंने उसको छुआ, हम इस तरह से बात करते हैं, मगर हम कभी सोचते नहीं कि इसको क्या बोलेंगे. But we use the word like हाँ मैंने अनुमान लगाया था, शायद मेरा अनुमान सही होगा, हम लोग ऐसा बोलते हैं. बट ये अनुमान क्या है, कैसा होता है, वो हम हार्डली हम लोग सोचते हैं. बराबर ना? किसी ने बोला अरे मेरे दादा ने ये कहा था तो ये बिल्कुल सही था, ट्रस्टवर्दी पर्सन योर दादा, सो यू एक्सेप्ट. बट वी नेवर से दैट दिस इज नथिंग बट द वर्बल टेस्टिमोनी, शब्द ज्ञान. ओके, हम कभी सोचते नहीं कि मेरा जो भी नॉलेज, जो भी मैं बोल रही हूँ या बोल रहा हूँ वो सही है या गलत है. we are day to day life में we are using this process without awareing, without any awareness. So Indian logic is giving you that analysis of the process. So object contact with the senses, and the senses contact with the mind, and according to Nyaya they are accepting source. So the mind gives the sandesh to that mind, and the image that these three contacts are very quick, and you say this is Archana. Okay, so this is the analysis of the process. So you have, as I told you, the object is very important. If you are talking about any knowledge, so सब कुछ तो होगा जिसके बारे में आप बात कर रहे हैं. तो subject, object and the relation is very much important. So inference में the long process is there. Okay, it is like, if you remember my Western logic, it is like that. Now here you can compare the Indian and Western theory of inference or reasoning. So here three things of important, and the three things are like you have paksha, you have a hetu, and you have a sadhya. Okay, three terms if you remember: major, minor, and middle. Major, that is sadhya, which you have to prove. Hetu, linga we call. Okay, so hetu is a middle term which connect to sadhya and paksha. Here paksha is a minor term, so where you can have the linga hetu and sadhya relation. The best example in our Indian logic is whenever there is smoke, there is fire. Okay, in your life, so many times you pursue smoke fire relation. I am not saying fire smoke relation, keep in mind that. I am saying smoke फायर रिलेशन. जहाँ जहाँ धुआं होता है वहाँ वहाँ अग्नि होता है. आई एम नॉट सेइंग जहाँ जहाँ अग्नि होता है वहाँ वहाँ धुआं होता है. बिना धुएं की भी आग होती है कई बार, बराबर है. आप सोचिएगा इसके बारे में. तो जहाँ जहाँ धुआं होता है वहाँ वहाँ अग्नि होता है. wherever there is smoke fire relation you have pursued in so many time in your past. So from a long distance, if you are seeing the smoke, you will immediately say, अरे there is a fire. बराबर आपका एक्शन, आप चुप नहीं बैठते. आपको अगर धुआं भी, आपने अगर गंध भी कर लिया धुएं का, आप इमीडिएट रिएक्शन करते हैं, अरे आग लगी है. बराबर है ना. आपने परस्यू नहीं किया है आग को, आप खाली स्मोक और फायर रिलेशन जो करते. See, this is what after knowledge, because you pursued so many times smoke fire relation in the past instances, and now the another instances is there before you, and on the basis of the earlier perception and the present instances, you are saying there is a fire, there is a fire, like from a long distance, like a hill. अगर या फिर कहीं दूसरे बिल्डिंग में आग लगी होगी तो you will say there is a fire in that building. Okay, what is the reason of that? Wherever there is smoke, there is fire. You saw the smoke, okay, and you are inferring that there is fire in that building. बराबर. Long distance से you can perceive it. So this smoke fire relation, this is called Vyapti relation. This is we call universal concomitance relation. I repeat again, Vyapti संबंध. अनुमान में this Vyapti relation, universal concomitance relation is very much important. Right now, like if you remember my Western logic class that I told about the deductive logic, it is like that. Deductive logic, you have three terms, three proposition. You start with general and reach to the particular. Similarly, whenever there is smoke, there is fire is a general statement. You see the fire in that building, so that's middle you can say, and that in the conclusion you can say there is a fire on that building. Okay, but now यहाँ पे you do not have only three proposition. In our Indian logic में we have 5 proposition. This is the difference. Okay, you can comparison. You are getting the knowledge. So inference has the process in Indian logic where you have 3 terms like sadhya, hetu and paksha. We call hetu को हम लिंग बोलते हैं. जो चिन्ह होता है आपका smoke is the चिन्ह of fire. Okay, so that is the middle term. And as in deductive logic, there is a relation, logical relation between given premises. Similarly here, there is a invariable concomitance, universal concomitance, Vyapti relation. That is called logical relation. I am repeating again and again because these terms will come to your exam. That Vyapti is a logical relation for Anumana. It's not a psychological relation. It's a logical relation. Okay, so logical relation for Anumana is called Vyapti. Okay, and that is very much important. Through that relation, like smoke fire relation, you are having the inference that there is a fire in that mountain. Okay, so now what is important here? Of course, 3 terms are there, correspond to the major, minor and the middle term. As Aristotelian syllogism we have already discussed. But the difference is, as Aristotle talk about only 3 preposition, major, minor and the conclusion. These are the 3 preposition in our Western logic. Here we call Panchavai Vakya. 5 vidhanas are there. See, I am repeating again, it is called Panchavai, 5 avayava. Okay, so the inference is the process where you have 5 avayava, 5 parts, 5 kinds of vidhana, vakya. What is that syllogism of Nyaya? 5 avayava, 5 proposition. Your conclusion and your first premise, which you have to prove, is actually common in Indian logic. Like that building has fire. Okay, that is your pratigna which you have to prove. You are giving the first statement that that mountain has a that building has a fire. Okay, because hetu you are giving second premise because it has a smoke. See, that building has a fire because it has a smoke. Second premise, that is hetu. Then you are giving the udharan example. You are saying we call drishtanta udharan. That whatever has smoke has fire. For example, our stove or gas or चूल्हा, like ट्रेडिशनल में हम लोग उसको चारकोल जो बोलते हैं, चूल्हा जो है वहाँ पे स्मोक फायर रिलेशन हमने कई बार देखा. So you are giving the example for your proposition that there is a fire on that building because it has a smoke. Like किचन एग्जाम्पल यू आर गिविंग, लाइक चूल्हा और आपका स्टोव जो भी है, गैस जो भी है, यू कैन और जो भी आपको एग्जाम्पल आप रिलेवेंट लगता है, यू आर गिविंग द उदाहरण. ओके, एंड देन उपनय फोर्थ, that building has a smoke which has an invariable association with the fire. So you are having that Vyapti relation in fourth premise, that is called upanay. Okay, on the basis of that you are saying yes, that building has a fire. So that is called nigamana. Nigamana is a nishkarsha. I repeat again, 5 avayavas. First is pratigna. Okay, pratigna mein you are saying the same thing which is there in the conclusion, that that building has a fire. Second mein you are giving the hetu. Hetu means the middle term, that is the chinna of your fire, that is the smoke. So because it has the smoke. Third mein you are giving the udharan for the relation, that fire and smoke. So you are giving certain example. On the basis of that you are saying that in that building there is a Vyapti relation between a hetu and a sadhya, that is the smoke and fire, and therefore that building has a fire. So that is nigamana nishkarsha. So pratigna first avaya, first vakya, hetu second vakya, then you have udharan third vakya, fourth you have upanay, okay, where you are connecting the Vyapti relation, and fifth is your conclusion, that is called nigaman. ठीक है, प्रतिज्ञा, हेतु, उदाहरण वाक्य, उपनय and निगमन. This is called in Indian syllogism, this is called panchavayi vakya, and this is nothing but the structure of inference. Okay, so you have sadhya, you have paksha, and you have hetu, and you have 5 avayava, panchavayi vakya. Understood? Now I already talked about the examples, so you just keep in mind fire smoke relation, so it will be not difficult for you. That is called panchavayi vakya, pancha avayava. Now now here middle term. Now if that relation is logical, then certainly your inference is valid. Okay, otherwise it will become invalid. Now if all the relations are correct, the fire smoke relation is correct, then whatever you are saying, wherever there is smoke there is fire, then definitely your inference and whatever you are giving the information to other is valid. Now there is a scope of invalidity of inference. Like in our Western logic also, I talk about the validity and invalidity of an argument or inference. Similarly, in our Indian system, we call yathartha vaidha anumana, avaidha anumana, or yes, yathartha or ayathartha we call. So there is a reason, and the reason is, as in Indian Western logic, middle terms function is very much important. Similarly, because middle term is connected with the major as well as in minor, and then only you can derive the conclusion, right? So here also in Indian logic also saying the same thing, that your middle term has played a very much important role. So 5 characteristics they are talking about the middle term, that is a hetu, that it must be present in the minor term, that paksha. Okay, paksha means जहाँ building मैंने बोला, सो वो जो स्मोक का हम हेतु ले रहे हैं वो आप जहाँ पे आप बोल रहे हैं पक्ष जो लोकस होता है बिल्डिंग जैसे वहाँ पे होना ज़रूरी है. देन it must be present in all the positive instances in which the major term is present. So जहाँ जहाँ फायर होगा वहाँ स्मोक भी प्रेजेंट होना ज़रूरी है. सो इट मस्ट बी एब्सेंट इन ऑल नेगेटिव इंस्टेंसेस. उसका अपोजिट जो होता है फायर लाइक ठंडी चीज़ों में ये रिलेशन आपको दिखाई नहीं देगा बिकॉज फायर इज हॉट. तो हॉट का अपोजिट होता है और कोल्ड और कूल. सो वहाँ पे नेगेटिव इंस्टेंस में उसका वो रिलेशन का एब्सेंस ही इज़ वेरी मच इम्पॉर्टेंट. Then it must be non-incompatible with the minor term. For example, it must not prove the coolness of fire. You can't say that fire is cool. Otherwise, contradictory हो जाएगा, right? Then it must be qualified by the absence of contradictory reasons also, right? So हम लोग जिस तरह से whenever there is fire there is smoke बोलते हैं, तो उसका उल्टा भी हम बोलेंगे whenever there is no fire there is no smoke. So that possibility is also there. So if that relation, that the function of the middle term is not correct, then there is a scope of fallacy. जो मेरा लास्ट पार्ट है इस सेशन का वो बाद में डिस्कस करेंगे. आई नो डिफ़िकल्ट होगा सबको समझना, बट this is what the theory of inference, Vyapti relation. Now let me go for the kinds of inference, which is another important part of your syllabus. Now basically inference is on the basis of on the psychological basis. This is divided into two, that is Swartha Anumana and Parartha Anumana. What is meaning of that? Swartha Anuman means inference for oneself, our own self, okay, and Parartha Anuman is inference for the sake of others. Now यहाँ पे when you are inferring for yourself, you are not talking about the five अवयवास. जहाँ भी आप स्मोक देखोगे you will immediately will say अरे वहाँ शायद फायर है, तो आपके मन में immediately आएगा that is a स्वार्था अनुमाना. That anumana, that inference is for your own self. Now when you are putting this anumana before others, then you have to give all the drishtanta example and or you have to explain. So you need that Panchavai Vakya for others inferences. That is called Parartha Anumana. Very simple. Then we have another kind of Anumana that is called Purvavat, Sheshvat and Samanyato Drushta. This is this kind of Anumana is actually based on the cause-effect relation. Okay, so like wherever there is smoke there is fire. It is nothing but the fire is the cause of smoke, right? So fire and cause, this relation is nothing but the cause and effect relation. So on the basis of causation or causal theory or cause-effect relation, we have three another kinds of classification, that is called Purvavat, Sheshvat and Samanyato Drushta. Okay, so what is the Purvavat? Purvavat Anuman means prior or antecedent or before. Now यहाँ पे for example I give you that suppose you are perceiving the event and infer the effect. Like you are perceiving the dark cloud on the sky. On the basis of that you will infer that कि भाई बारिश होगी. Yeah, whenever you see the clouds on the sky, we immediately infer that it may be rain heavily. Okay, this kind of inference is what Purvavat. Then Sheshvat, like after that event is already happened and you are perceiving you are inferring the cause. Like you can see the flooded river. Okay, now it's raining outside. So if you see the wet road, okay, गीला रास्ता अगर आपने देखा तो you will infer that शायद बारिश हुई थी, बराबर. So that is also inference. Similarly, if you see the flooded river, you will infer the cause that it must be a rain heavily. Okay, so effect is before you and you are inferring the cause, right? This is called Sheshvat Anumana, right? And then Samanyato Drushta Anumana means you are having the inference about the sameness, commonness, Samanya, that is common. For example, it is like our inductive logic. All rose plants have thorns, because you must have seen some rose plants, okay, on the basis of that you get the knowledge, you have a anumana that all roses have thorns. Barabar? So from some to you are just getting the commonness, common quality, you are inferring the commonness, class quality, cause effect relation. So wherever you see the rose, you will see कि अरे संभाल के वहाँ पे काटा होगा, तो you inferred. That is called सामान्यतः दृष्ट अनुमान. Okay, so one side you have psychological classification, that is called Purvavat and Sheshvat Anuman. That, sorry, I'm so sorry. That is Swarthanuman and Parathanuman. Then on the basis of cause effect relation, I am repeating again because this is the possibility of exam, this is the possibility of question can come. So on the basis of cause effect relation, you have three kinds of Anuman, that is called Purvavat, Sheshvat and Samanitya Drushta Anuman. Okay, one more classification is there, is that which is depend on the Vapti relation. Okay, so Vapti relation, which just now I said, it is the relation between Hetu and Sadhya. Okay, so now Hetu, your linga, which is the symbol or linga, chinna of your inference. So you have a Hetu, you have a Paksha. Okay, so now wherever you are seeing fire, smoke on like a mountain or any building, okay, so that smoke on building, particular building, so you have a linga, that is a smoke, and you have a paksha, that building, okay, or hill. So there is a Vapti relation. Wherever you see the smoke, you infer that fire is there. So now if this Vapti relation, on the basis of this invariable concomitance relation, we have three kinds of Anumana. A little bit difficult, but just for your information I am telling you, because this kind of words might be there. So if you remember this thing, you can get the correct answer. Keval Anvai, Keval Vatiriki and Anvay Vatirik Anumana. In one line I will say that this Anvay or Keval Anvay Anumana means your Hetu exists in the subject, that is a paksha, that is a building, and similar instances, that is a sapaksha. Like smoke is present in the building, similarly as you can see in kitchen. Okay, kitchen mein as you can say gas or anything, so that smoke fire relation you always see. So your Hetu is present in the paksha as well as the sapaksha, means उसके जैसा दूसरा जो पक्ष है वहाँ पे भी वो होता है, that is called अन्वय or केवलान्वयी अनुमान. Then व्याप्ति रेखा अनुमान, व्यतिरेक, I'm sorry. Okay, व्यतिरेक means you are having the relation between the paksha and the hetu, but you are not getting the ulta vipaksha, any negative paksha for that quality, that smoke fire relation, that is called Vatireka Anumana. Okay, and Anvay Vatireki Anumana, Anvay you have all cases, but you have a similar instances, but does not exist any dissimilar instances, that is called Anvay Vatireki Anumana. Like there are many examples, like smoke fire relation object are there, so you can have the smoke on that hill, so you can say that the hill is fiery, so this is Anvay. And the Vatirek also you can have that no fiery objects are smoky. So similarly opposite example you can give, and you can have the two relation together, and that is called Anvay and Vatirek. Matlab sapaksha as well as vipaksha relation is there. For you especially, just keep in mind that the Nyaya system of Indian philosophy, they are talking about the inference, and they are giving this classification in three different directions. First, psychological basis, that they have a Swartha and Paratha Anumana, inference for oneself and inference for others. Then on the basis of cause and effect, they have Purvavat, Sheshvat and Samanitya Drushta Anumana. and on the basis of logical relation, that Vyapti relation is a logical relation for Nayayika, and they are giving three kinds of Anumana, that is Anvay, Kevalanvay, Anvay Vyatireki and Vyatireki Anumana. So these are the kinds of Anumana, inferences. Now if the relation between your Hetu and Sadhya have some problem, then there is a possibility of fallacy, error we call. So there are 5 kinds of fallacy in our Indian system of logic, and you just have to remember that that fallacy is known as Hetva Bhasa. Okay, Hetva Bhasa, fallacies of inference. Okay, now what is the meaning of this Hetva Bhasa? Let me just tell you about this. Now there are 5 characteristics of middle term. As I said, that it must be present in the Paksha, then it should be not present in the opposite case. Okay, and it should be always there with the Paksha, and it should be not absent in the Vipaksha. Okay, so उसका opposite contradictory नहीं होना चाहिए, otherwise you can't say that there is a smoke, there is a fire. Wherever there is smoke, there is fire. That relation you cannot connect. So smoke fire relation is always based on the relation between Hetu and your major term, that is the Sadhya. So if that relation has some problem, then fallacy occurs. So Hetu ka abhas, Hetu means your that is middle term, that is smoke. Okay, so Hetu ka abhav is Hetva Bhasa. Okay, so absence of Hetu, we call that fallacy of the reason or fallacious reason, is because the relation between Hetu and Sadhya has any difficulty or any problem, then there is a possibility of any 5 kinds of fallacies, that is called Hetva Bhasa. That Hetva Bhasa is a technical term for fallacies in inference in our Indian logic. Now this fallacy, first fallacy is Asiddha. Okay, let me just go for one by one. Like for example, Savabhichari. So we have 5 kinds of fallacies, and the 5 kinds of fallacies are Savabhichari, Viruddha, Satpratipaksha, and Asiddha and Badhita. Okay, so now, yeah, Asiddha fallacy is where the Hetu is one which not yet proved but requires to be proved, like a Sadhya. For example, sky lotus is fragrant because it has a lotusness in it like a natural lotus. Now sky lotus, this middle term, sky lotus is a fragrant because it has a lotusness in it like a natural lotus. Now the middle term of this argument, it to be proved. अभी तक उसको प्रूव नहीं किया है, बराबर ना? So it is asiddha. So this syllogism is fallacious because this middle term yet to be proved. So this is called asiddha fallacy, asiddha Hetva Bhasa. Then Savabhichari, this is the fallacy of irregular middle. Like it is the fallacy of irregular middle. The middle term may be irregularly related to the major term. Okay, so the relation between your middle term and Sadhya is not regular relation, has not regular relation. Like all bipeds are rational, swans are biped, therefore swans are rational. If that example if I take, here the middle term biped is not uniformly related to the major term, that is a rational. So this example may be related to both rational as well as non-rational creatures or animals. So therefore it is defective. You can't connect this relation always. Irregular hai ye. So here you have a fallacy that is called Savabhichara fallacy, irregular middle term. Then Satpratipaksha fallacy, here the middle term is contradicted by another middle term. Now for example, sound is eternal because it is audible. Now this validity is contradicted by another inference. I say that sound is non-eternal because it is not produced but like a pot. or like any other object. So it is contradicted with the other similar examples. So if this kind of paksha is the same, but you can put the another inference and you can just say that this is also can possible. So sat pratipaksha is like that, that is the fallacy. Badhita, it is a non-inferential contradicted middle. That means the middle term of an inference may be contradicted by some other stronger means of knowing, such as a perception or testimony. For example, fire is cold. Okay, fire is cold. Here the middle term coldness is actually contradicted by our perception, because whenever we perceive fire, you are perceiving hotness, not coldness. So it is contradicted with the your hetu and sadhya relation. So that is called badhita hetva bhasa. And viruddha, it is a contradictory middle, like viruddha hetu or the contradictory middle is that opposite. We can say that viruddha hetva bhasa. Here the middle term itself disprove the original proposition. Okay. Now and it becomes the opposite. Just now I said that suppose sugar is sour. शुगर तो मीठी होती है, सबको पता है. तो यहाँ पे आप अगर बोले कि शुगर सोर है, तो यहाँ पे आप जो है वो आपका प्रूव नहीं हो रहा है, आपका मिडिल टर्म फंक्शन नहीं कर रहा है बराबर. सो इट इज़ कॉन्ट्रडिक्टेड बाय द फर्स्ट वन. सो इट इज़ कॉल्ड विरुद्ध हेत्वाभास. ओके, so these are the fallacy due to the relation which we have with this sadhya and hetu, these two terms, that is middle and major term. So if the relation is correct between the smoke fire or your sadhya and hetu, then your inference is valid. If the function have some difficulties, then there is the scope of fallacy, that is called hetvabhasa error. Theory is called hetvabhasa in our Indian logic. Now I told you during my session only कि this kind of question can come, this kind of question can come. Like from the beginning, if you remember the etymological meaning of the logic, Indian logic, that epistemology is a technical word for theory of inference, then definitely you will get an idea of this epistemology. If you are seeing the word, then you will definitely say this is a theory of knowledge. So that kind of question in the introductory part can come. Okay. For that you have to remember that in our Indian philosophy there are certain branches like metaphysics, epistemology, we have ethics, we have aesthetics. So you may have such kind of words in your paper, and the question related to your Indian logic, that theory of knowledge is known as the option as given. So you should know this is nothing but the epistemology, because episteme it means the knowledge, understanding. Okay, and it comes from the Greek word that you have to keep in mind. And four pramanas in Indian, four factors you have to keep in mind, that pramatru, prameya, pramiti and prama. That know, that is pramatru. Then you have a means of knowledge, pramanas, object of knowledge, that is a prameya, and the knowledge itself is called prama. Knowledge is always of two kinds, prama and aprama. Then prama knowledge is divided into two, that is called direct and indirect. Under direct knowledge you have pratyaksha. Under indirect knowledge you have other five pramanas, that is anumana, shabda, verb, that is upamana, arthopatti and anupalabdhi. Pratyaksha you have to keep in mind, laukik, alaukik, that ordinary, extraordinary perception. So ordinary perception is nothing but the five sense organ perception plus mind mental perception. Then extraordinary may you have that samanya lakshan, jnana lakshan and yogacha pratyaksha. Extraordinary. Okay. Nirvikalpa, savikalpa, that is the main first important classification you have to keep in mind. Okay, then you have anumana after knowledge, and under after knowledge anumana because it is based on pratyaksha first instances, so it has a long process, and under that process you have three basic terms, that is called hetu, sadhya and paksha, right? So that hetu, sadhya has a concomitance relation, that is called bhakti relation, and that is nothing but the logical relation. So that is very important in the process. And in the process you have 5 vakyas, Panchavai Vakya. In our Indian logic, the Pratijna, Hetu, Dharan, Vakya, Upanay and Nigamana. Okay, so Pratijna which you have to prove, Hetu you are giving the linga, that middle term you are giving, then example you are talking about Udharan, and then Nigaman, that relation you are talking about, and on the basis of that you are giving the conclusion, that is called Nigaman. That is nothing but Panchavai Vakya, Pancha Avayava in inference process. And that this inference is important for the Pararthanumana when you are giving the inferential knowledge to others, not for us. Okay, so inference for ourselves is known as Swarthanumana, and for others is known as Parathanumana. This is the relation, one kind of inference. Then we have an inference which is based on causific relation, Purvavat, Sheshvat and Samanatva Drishta. Then we have a other kind of inference which is based on Bhakti relation. Okay, so that Vetireki, Anvay Vetireki and Keval Anvay Vetireki Anuman. Then if your relation between smoke and fire, Sadhya and Hitu, is correct, then your inference is valid, otherwise there is a scope of fallacy. And then you have the 5 Hitvabhas, 5 errors in your Indian logic, that is Savya Vichari, Viruddha, Sat Pratipaksha, Siddha and Patita. That is called Hitvabhasa, is nothing but the theory of error. Okay. Then we have other kind of pramana, that is called Shabda, verbal testimony. It is nothing but the Aptavakyam Shabdam, the knowledge you are getting from the authoritative statement. This you have to keep in mind. Then you have Upamana, we also call Upamiti knowledge. This is nothing but the Sadhana, Sadhi, Sambandha, Jnana. Here you are relating the two things together, comparing, and you are having the new knowledge. Okay, keep in mind any example like spiral I have given, or many example like in our Indian logic, the Gavaya, Gayaka concept is there. So you are connecting the two things together, comparing, and you are getting new knowledge, that is called Upamana. It is also called analogy. Okay. Then you have Arthapatti, that postulation, assumption, presupposition. You have certain instances, and on the basis of that you presuppose something that may be the reason of that. So you are presupposing the reason of that knowledge, and that is different from all other knowledge. So this is Arthapatti. Then we have Anupalabdhi. Anupalabdhi is that non-existence, perception of non-existence. So as Nayayika said, as you can pursue the existence things, you can also pursue the non-existence things. So Anupalabdhi is that kind of pramana. So this way, Indian logic is giving you 6 kind of pramana. Pratyaksha, that is perception. Anumana, that is inference. Then you have Shabda, verbal testimony. Then we have comparison, that is Upamana. Arthapatti, that is postulation, and Anupalabdhi, non-apprehension. So friends, this is what the means of knowledge, all 5 I have discussed very briefly because of the my limitations are there. So but I can say that whatever is required for your understanding of Indian logic, I cover all the points, which is very important. And you have to just quickly, I tell you, you have to just keep in mind some key points to remember for your paper. That, like I said, that you have to keep in mind the etymology of Indian logic, that epistemology that is there. Then you have to keep in mind the etymology of Pratyaksha, because without knowing the etymological meaning, see that etymological meaning has everything. So first you have to keep in mind that, and all the names which are there in Indian logic which are used in India, I have not given you all the Sanskrit definition. I just give you the one simple definition of Indriyartha Sannikarsham Jnanam Pratyaksha. That is also a possibility. That definition, etymological meaning, this the kinds of the possible means you have to keep in mind. So you have to just keep in mind which is the direct knowledge and which is indirect knowledge. Otherwise, definitely you will be confused about this. You have to keep in mind the Vyapti relation is always with for inferential knowledge. If you are, whenever you are talking about Indian logic, the 5 means are always there. So in general, not a particular. And keep in mind the 9th system of Indian philosophy, and just try to remember that this particular system accept only this pramanas, or the particular system deny pramana. There are metaphysical reasons, there are many reasons that I have not covered up, but whatever is required for this Indian logic session, I try my best to keep in mind. So give you whatever is required. So you have to keep in mind certain things, the basic important things, and definitely on the basis of this session, those who are attending or listening first time Indian logic, this is just the brief of logic. On the basis of this information, if you read any reference book, you will definitely understand Indian logic more. Now I stop here. I hope I did justice with this session. Again I can say that this is very technical paper. You have to remember the technical words and meaning, that is more important. But I will say that, I will request that as an Indian, we are all Indian, so as an Indian you should know that what our Indian philosophy is also talking about, what our system is talking about the logic. So Indian tradition is giving the another way of reasoning which is similar, little bit similar with the Indian tradition. So we sometimes we are very we have a knowledge about Western things, but we do not have a basic knowledge of Indian. So it's our duty to know Indian as well as Western. So those who are interested in net set and all, this session I over today logical reasoning session. Thank you so much Professor Wag for the opportunity and his team Ambedkarite History Congress. So I declare that logical reasoning session is over. Thank you so much for your attendance, attending your session and giving me a good remark. That remark is actually, if you understand my session, that's a big remark for me. So thank you so much. All the best for your future. Thank you. Good night. Take care.